All right, Dream Team, we are back. Let's see if my camera still screws up. We changed a bunch of things as far as the settings and stuff go because our last video was actually like really challenging to get right. It was just super blown out. I ended up on a customer service call with somebody at Adobe to try and figure it all out, which we ended up getting it figured out so. But to everyone that watched the video, thank you. I truly appreciate it. This is gonna be part 2 and the part where everything comes together. So I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have been focusing pretty heavily the last couple days to really try and get my shop cleaned up, because who likes working in a dirty shop? But wow, it is totally coming together. We have switched the STI around. I got a handful of stuff here to take care of, but damn. Got my fuel barrels in the back there, got a work table, some couches. I need to move the couch back over there. We got some banners and stuff hung up. We got a bunch of shelving, all kinds of stuff going on up in the BigSkyBoosted lab today. So again, we got our motor here. I've been trying to get some time to be able to do this, so we did, and today is that day. But I needed to get a couple other things that I was missing in order to go ahead and bolt these onto the block. So we're back, and guess what? We're gonna bolt them on the block today. And then we're gonna start doing some things, swapping some components over on the car, like one being the clutch. We have to swap out to a new slave cylinder because we are converting it over to a push style instead of a pull style. So I figure, shoot, let's just go ahead and get into this one, because it's about time we put a motor together and had a motor ready for this thing and see if we can make some progress. So, what do you say? Yeah? All right, let's go. So as we're letting those sit, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna flip this up. And that way we can focus on dropping some of these in. Yes, it is dirty, but we will go ahead and clean the surface. We will also clean the actual cylinders themselves. I don't know if you can see, but IAG has spent a lot of money on their equipment, and hands down, this cross-hatching is absolutely insane. So IAG 100% will give you the best recipe to, be successful, as long as you have attention to detail. This side, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean the entire surface here because the head studs are out. But if you can see, look at how high the thread engagement goes, which is actually really awesome. These ones right here where you can see that it's like smooth, and then this one, these are actually the holes for the head aligning dowels, but the other 4 holes basically have thread engagement all the way to the deck surface, which to me is just mind-blowing, right? But you can see how dirty this is. So let's go ahead and clean this off. I have already went, and IAG basically wants you to put 30 weight conventional motor oil on the block threads here. So basically what we did was we just dump some oil on it, let it run off. They also say that too in their PDF. And we'll go ahead and install these. I've already installed them on the other side of the block, but I wanted to do a fresh run here and kind of give you guys an idea of what to look for, how to look for it, and the process under which we do it. So let's go ahead and get a clean microfiber, which trusty old Harbor Freight for the win here. I think this pack was like $5 maybe. Microfibers are getting expensive, guys. I remember when they were like 50 cents or 40 cents, 30 cents. Now they're expensive. So we'll take this, we'll go ahead and we'll put some brake cleaner on it, wipe it down, and I'll show you guys what it should look like. See how it's actually like black-ish gray? We are gonna go ahead and wipe it down again. Because essentially it's not clean at that point. And that time it looks way better. So we'll take our dry side and we'll just quick give it a nice little buff once over. Okay, now that the surface is cleaned, we're gonna go ahead and take our head studs here, which already have oil on them. I'll just go ahead and roll them through the oil one more time. And essentially what we're gonna do is you're going to take it and you're gonna turn it backwards until you hear it click. When it clicks, it's basically gonna fall down in, and that will mean that you are guaranteed not to cross thread it, that it's in the correct thread, top thread part. Hear that? Here, listen. Hear that? And then from there, easy peasy, baby. So we'll go ahead and take all the rest of these. And one thing not to do with these is to drop them in the hole. Do not do that. IAG specifically says not to do that too. Turn it backwards, and it fell in. And then basically, you should be able to hand thread all these in and not have them bind. If they bind for any reason, stop, pull it out, check the threads, and do it again. Turn it back. Click, just like that. So we are going to just do the outer four, turn it back, which I just felt it, but there it is. And then from there, all you do is thread it in. So the Allen head on this, let's see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, the Allen head there, this size is 3/16. So I'm gonna grab a 3/16 Allen, and we'll go ahead and stick that guy in there and basically just turn these guys all the way down. IAG has seriously put some R&D and testing into figuring out this EJ platform, and damn does it show. So at this point, IAG says to torque these to 10 foot-pounds, I've always just installed them hand tight. So basically, you know, tool tight. I went ahead and I wiped down the cylinders themselves, but we are going to take our driven engine assembly grease, which has been recommended to me by somebody else, but this is specifically designed for flat top engines. Driven used to be Joe Gibbs, but it's the exact oil that I've run in my race motors previous, and it's the stuff I'm gonna run in this race motor as well. Very, very, very awesome products. I would probably equate them to easily close to Schaefer's. I know Schaefer's is really good too, but this is like specifically designed for flat top engines, so I really like using this stuff. Never had an issue with it. So we'll go ahead and get a little bit of this out, and we'll just go ahead and put them on the inside of the cylinders. And then we are gonna break one of these bad guys out. And I'm gonna go over a couple other things with you guys, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm pretty sure I probably kind of screwed up, because it looks like these holes, these outer 4 holes, are just a tad bit bigger than the inner 2. And I think what you actually have to do is you actually have to thread the head stud through these 2 holes as you put the gasket on. So, I guess we'll find out. But let's go ahead and get this tackled first, and we will address this next. I am gonna go ahead and put gloves on for this process, just because I don't want to potentially contaminate it with any dirt. I mean, it's been in a plastic bag for as long as I've had it, basically. So anything that's here likely came as one unit. But just in case, you can never be too careful in this kind of aspect. The best part about this stuff, guys, is this will dissolve into the oil. So on break-in, you know, nothing crazy. It'll dissolve into the oil, and don't even have to worry about this. Shouldn't clog up any oil passages or anything like that. Like, this stuff is formulated basically to be super easy on the motor. So we'll just go ahead and get a nice old glop. The other thing too is, and for the time being, up until we fire this thing up, I don't want to leave the cylinders dry, because I don't want them to rust. So this is one of the ways that you can prevent that. Now, most people will probably put like oil down in here, which totally fine, method 2. I guess I just like a little bit of added protection from the assembly grease, because it is thicker, definitely thicker. And to be honest, this stuff goes a long ways because it's so thick. So everyone has their own way of building a motor, and this just so happens to be mine. So take it or leave it with the methods and products and, you know, stuff like that. But this is what has always worked for me. And I'm pretty sure that that's how everyone's mentality is. If it's worked for them, it's something they stick with because it's worked, right? So, you know, we're on the internet here. There's probably 9 different ways to skin a cat at this moment, but this is mine. And when this thing fires up and it makes a whole bunch of power, I can tell you I told you so. So, we went ahead and lubed them up. We got our, what would be part number, oh, there's the part number. These are IAG Firelock head gaskets, 1 pair with Firelock rings for 14mm head studs. So, these are specifically designed for this block. But we're pretty much ready to go ahead and get one of these guys put on. So we will just double check and make sure that this is the right one, which what you're looking for is you're looking for coolant passage holes, which good there. And then this one hole right here, this is an oil galley hole. You want to make sure that it lines up with that hole right there. So if you look at this design, this is the one we want. Okay, so we've got it out. And guys, this is a composite gasket. This is not a multi-layer steel. It's a composite. And then these rings are stainless steel, and this is what they call fire rings. Now, it is still an Athena gasket. There are a different version of this. But this one has a much thicker ring, and if you can see on it, it's a smooth ring. The 051 thou Athena gaskets that they call the Cooper fire ring or Cooper ring, that one is designed to just sit down on the deck surface. If you look really close, you can see IAG has machined a groove in the cylinder wall there. That is for these rings to sit down in. So, different design as far as the fire, or as far as the rings go. Same design between the Cooper and this one as far as the actual gasket itself goes. So we'll go ahead and pull this off. We'll leave the rings out for now. And I just want to check and make sure that these head studs, the middle two, don't have to be threaded through the 2 holes, which I think they do. Since they do have to be threaded, we're gonna go ahead and pull them out. And this is a good time for us to also pull these other 2 out because I forgot that these need to go in first. These are the lining dowel, head of lining dowels. So we'll go ahead and get these pulled out and then get these put in and go from there. Okay, they will fit. That one fit way better. So they will fit over, but there's just like a little bit of the gasket there in the way. So as soon as I ran a couple of threads over it, the bolt kind of just fell, or the stud kind of just fell right through. So you probably don't need to pull them out. I know you, maybe with an older version, you definitely did. But since these ones are like specially designed for 14mm studs, I don't think you do. Now you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to the oil galley and then the coolant passages. That's basically all you're looking for. All the rest of these should line up. Shouldn't really matter either way. IUG's done a pretty good job at figuring out how much coolant this actually needs. So as long as it sits down flush, everything's all lined out, we can go ahead and grab the rings. And we'll go ahead and just place the rings in there. And those guys should sit down nice and flush. Just like that. And guys, that is pretty much it. We've got the cylinders lubed up. We've got all the head studs in where I'm comfortable with them. Got the gasket fitted right. We've got the rings in nice and flush. The only thing left to do is grab our cylinder head and drop it on there. After we put some ARP torque lube on the top side of these bolts. Okay, so at this point, we are pretty much ready to go ahead and get our cylinder head out of the plastic here. We're gonna go ahead and pull the cam caps. We're gonna pull the cams themselves. And then we're gonna go ahead and lube up the head studs on the block with the ARP fastener lube. And then we can go ahead and drop this down. We can go ahead and lube up all the washers and nuts that I have over on the table. And we can start our torque sequence on this. You need to do the torque sequence before you do anything with the cylinder head. So, we're gonna, since we have the, what would be the cylinders 2 and 4, which is the passenger side head, we're gonna grab the right head and go ahead and get it out of the packaging. And we'll go ahead and get our 10mm sockets out. You can see we have our cams out, we have all of our caps and the actual bridge itself out. So we are pretty much left with just a bare head minus the buckets. At this point, I'll go ahead and I'm gonna flip it over or tip it back with you guys set up again. I'm sorry that I keep having to set you guys up, but it's kind of hard to film just me. I'm gonna tip them back and then I'm gonna clean the deck surface. You wanna clean the actual deck surface itself. It'll be the first time I show you guys the valves and everything like that as well. So we'll do that. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and put this is ARP fastener assembly lubricant. We'll go ahead and put that on the top side of the head studs. And then we can drop this baby down, grab all of our washers and nuts, and start putting this thing together. So as you can see, It's actually pretty dirty, believe it or not. I would suggest or recommend wiping it down a couple times until you don't really get the dirty anymore, just to be safe. And constantly keep turning your rag over because you don't want to leave any like lint or anything like that in there too. See, and now you can see it's like totally different than it was. So even though it doesn't look dirty, probably is, especially out of the box. So I'm gonna call that good. So we'll go ahead and grab our fastener lube here, and we'll go ahead and put it on the top sides of these. So IAG says you only really have to do like the top 5 threads, but I like to coat pretty much like the entire thing. These are gonna see quite a bit of torque. I think IAG says 155 foot-pounds for all 6, which my last motor, I only torqued to 130, which to me is wild, definitely wild. But at this point, we have them pretty much lubed up now. We've got the cylinder head cleaned. We're gonna go ahead and drop the cylinder head down on here, and we will worry about 6 washers and 6 nuts. Here's a moment of truth. Bam. And just like that. Damn, she slid on so nice. It's all uniform. Oh my gosh. You guys, I am so freaking jazzed right now. So I went ahead and I put some lube on the bottom side of the nut. All right, so we'll go ahead and grab, I think it's a 14 12 point socket. Holy smokes. Okay, it's an 18 12 point. Wow. Okay. So what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm just gonna take my 1/4 inch impact, which doesn't have a whole lot of torque, and I'm just going to get them snug. That's it. Like literally as soon as they touch, I'm done. IAG has an actual torque sequence that you do in multiple steps. And I'll go ahead and post it on the screen, but follow that torque sequence and also do it in the Subaru service manual sequence as well, which I'm almost positive is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which I will also put that on the screen. So I'm going to look over that, get our 1/2 inch big old torque wrench out, and set you guys back up, and we'll go ahead and get to torquing these babies. And then we can be done with one, hopefully. We could at least, set the cams in there. Well, shoot. Yeah, we gonna, Now, IAG has a torque sequence number, but it's split in 2 parts. You have the inner 2 and then the outer 4. And they are different steps, different, for instance, we're gonna start out with the inner 2, 1 and 2 at 35 foot-pounds, and then the outer 4 are gonna be 25 foot-pounds. Then we go up to 70 foot-pounds in the inner 2, 60 foot-pounds on the outer 4. You get what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a little challenging for you guys to see, but I'm gonna set you guys up and I'll kind of glass over what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Okay, so like I said, inner 2 are gonna be 35. So I have the torque wrench set to 35 foot-pounds. And there's 35 on 1. $35 on 2. Now we're gonna go back down to 25. It's 25. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna do the upper left corner at 25, which it just clicked. Bottom right. Bottom left. And top right. And you're gonna just wanna go slow. So next is gonna be 70 foot-pounds on the inner 2. That's 70. And this is where it's gonna be hard to get torque without it moving. So here we go. And if you can, try and get it in one big fluid motion. Holy smokes. Okay, that's 70 foot-pounds on the inner 2. Now we're gonna go down to 60 foot-pounds on the outer 4. Now we're gonna get into the big boy torque. The inner 2 are now going to be 105 foot-pounds, which a set of stock size 11mm ARP 625s cap out at 100 foot-pounds. So 105. So inner 2, 105. Outer 2 or outer 4 are gonna be 95. So here we go. Now back down to 95. Getting a workout. Okay, now the inner two are gonna be 130 foot-pounds. Inner two 130, outer four 120. Okay, inner two at 130, so go back down to 120. Okay, that one just stretched. Last but not least, 155 foot-pounds on all six. Jesus. There's 150 and 5. All right, let's take it home. Damn, this is gonna be a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, guys. Okay, I was almost there. God damn. Holy shit. I broke a sweat. Legit sweating. So, the problem I was having is I'm putting so much leverage down low that the cart itself actually wanted to push itself, like slide across the floor. I was bracing this side, but I couldn't get this side to stay put, so I had to put it up against the table to hopefully keep it there. Which to me is just crazy. Like, wow. Holy shit, I broke a sweat. 155 foot-pounds on all six. That's quite the feat, even with a big ass torque wrench. But we got it, we double checked them, and I'm pretty confident everything's gonna be all right. So, somebody on Instagram hit me up tonight asking a question, which I figured I would touch on. But a trick that I do when doing head studs, especially at a high amount of torque, because we're not gonna be able to heat cycle the motor, you know, and then just like pop a valve cover off and re-torque them, what I end up doing is I will torque them like regular, and then I will let them sit about 24 hours, and then I'll come back and I'll re-torque them or after it's sat overnight, or you know, a day or whatever. And I can almost guarantee you that if I let these sit overnight tonight and I come back either tomorrow or Sunday, and we go and do this again, I can almost promise you there's gonna be at least one or two of these that will actually can move more. So that has never failed me doing it that way. And with a build like this, I definitely will be doing it again. So our right-hand side, our driver or passenger side head is completely torqued, all good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and slap the cams in. Just to keep the buckets in, we'll go ahead and throw the bridge on, the caps on, And I will actually put the valve cover on tonight as well, just to keep it sealed up. And we will revisit this tomorrow. I'm just gonna go ahead and do the driver's side head all by myself, and I'll show you guys when we're all done. Just because it's really hard for me to film and do this all at once.